Good evening, everyone. I'm Colleen Ruston, and I come from St. Anthony's Primary School. It's a tiny school in Heathfield. Our playing surfaces comprise of 2 netball courts, and we'll speak a little bit about that later. I'm going to hand over to Sandra first because she's going to do the first part of our chat.
Good evening, everybody. So the way we've divided the section is that I'm going to talk about the partnership, what I've learned from Colleen, and also what I'm taking away. Colleen will talk about the impact it has had on herself as well as the school. I've made a couple of notes and I found the reflection extremely valuable because we go through life and we don't reflect on the value. And so in the past few days, I've been really appreciative of what this journey has meant to me. So I first heard of Partners for Possibilities through a colleague and thought this was perfect because for the past year I'd been saying to the universe, I need to give back to the community in some way. And then this presented itself. And my expectations in partnering with the school was that I was going to put on old tackies, old jeans, I was going to put on an old t-shirt, and I was going to build, and I was going to clean. But on reflection, it was very different. So I feel that I've received much more than what I gave. I met Colleen at St. Anthony's at the school with our first triad with Paul. St. Anthony's is a school that was formed by nuns in the 1960s in Deep River. And when I walked into the school, there was a number of things which I saw. Firstly, the school was extremely clean. There was order, discipline. The children were respectful and seemed extremely happy. So very different from what I expected. And they don't have lots of resources, but this is the outcome and what I saw. I met Colleen and we hit it off straight away. So we have lots of things in common. We come from the same era. We have similar views on life. We share the same values. And for the next 2 months, we really spent getting to know each other. And Paul was very strategic in that he didn't give us the task or the journal because that's what we would have gotten stuck in first. He said, go and build a relationship. And that's what we did. And so every second Thursday of the month from 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock in the evening, we met in Bag and Bean in Constantia Valley, and over good food. They've got the best brownies. And in some cases, a glass of wine. We got to know each other. We shared personal stories, challenges, successes, and built a foundation of, I think, a lasting relationship. At the same time, these engagements was informed, influenced, colored by the Partners for Possibility leadership program. The triads, the co-ops, the workshops enriched the discussions that we had between each other. And so when Paul gave us the journal, it all happened very quickly. The task, and it reminded me of Stephen Covey's book, Speed of Trust, and how important it is for any task. You need to build a relationship, and this is something I'll take back into my team. Relationships and building trusted relationships is really important. So my journey with Colleen was not about mud and mortar. It was about personal connection, learning from each other, leadership, authenticity, and vulnerability. I've learned the following from Colleen. I learned that it's okay to be scared, anxious, out of your comfort zone, and still be courageous and get the job done. At the start of our journey, okay, I think I need to hand over to her because we've got 5 minutes. At the start of the journey, Colleen was newly appointed and she handled it, she handled the new appointment very well. She handled it head on. So, okay, I think I'm going to have to hand over to you because I think she has more. So, the other thing I learned was the importance of personal relationships and connectivity from Colleen. Yeah, I'm hugely grateful to Mutual, to Partners for Possibilities, and to Colleen for this journey that I've been on.
It's been a good journey. Right, Sandra spoke about what the school is like. And when I was appointed at the beginning of last year, I inherited a school that was well run. I inherited a school that had a very dynamic principal. So the anxiety levels were sky high. In fact, they were crippling. I remember the last week of the school holiday, Graham sent me a message, and he didn't know that just prior to that, I was under my duvet and I'd covered myself in the fetal position because I thought, are you bloody crazy? Now, Partners for Possibility, I became aware of a long time ago prior to Ernest Moore coming to introduce it to the school. I taught Ernest Moore's children, and this is why I knew of the school. I had heard Louisa and Mampele Rampela speaking. And when you hear about Dr. Rampela, one thinks immediately of Steve Biko and the Black Consciousness Movement, which speaks about human dignity. And you cannot be involved in a school and be involved with children if you do not respect people in terms of their human dignity, not necessarily their human rights, but the human dignity. It also speaks about the freedoms of the mind, freeing the mind. Now, you do have to understand that we all know we come from an era when you were disadvantaged of the boss, and I'm using the word boss very distinctly tonight, the boss mentality where you do as you are told and you don't question. So you go into a staff room and teachers, one or two teachers speak, but generally the staff doesn't speak. So when Ernest Moore came along, I had already thought about and I'd known about Partners for Possibility, and I realized the value that it can have in the school. Teachers don't talk in the staff room, they talk after staff meetings. And I felt that in order to get our teachers to Partners for Possibility speaks about recognizing the expertise in every person and what is the word? Connecting with those expertise and bringing that out in the staff room. So prior to my even knowing about what Partners for Possibilities was going to teach me, I realized that our teachers needed to learn to speak. They needed to learn to communicate. I was vulnerable because there was self-doubt, I was questioning, and going into this I thought I'm going to get to learn myself, and boy did I really get to learn myself. Because as a leader you have to be authentic. Because when it comes to decision making, if you are not comfortable in yourself and you are not authentic in terms of your stance, people see right through you. Children see right through you. The school that I inherited, or that we inherited as a staff, could have crumbled if I was not alert to the difficulties of interacting with people and bringing people on board. At the beginning of this year, the first thing we did was to run through the tenets for time to think. And we grouped it into 3 groups, and I'm not going to group it because you could look at that, and I'm not going to undermine your intelligence here. But it taught us just to shut up and listen to people, because this is what Partners for Possibility allows one to do. It allows one to be quiet and to listen without the need to always offer advice. And I remember Louise saying, no, it wasn't Louise, it was first one. I don't know. Alison. I remember Alison saying, how dare you be so arrogant to assume that you know the answers to the next person's, the next person's problems. Now, I'm going to run through this very quickly. Paul and Sandra, thank you very, very much. Sandra, you've been an awesome and a guiding light in terms of the possibilities, in terms of my partnership. Paul, you've kept it calm, and you've allowed it, it's never been threatening. You've allowed that space for us to grow and to develop. And to my co-op, thank you very, very much for being there and for supporting us, because it just gave us a chance to stop and to pause and to realize that we all have the same issues. Now, what did we learn? We were going to start with the playing area, bugger the playing area. We went to a JoJo tank, bugger the JoJo tank. We have one, but it didn't come from Sandra. Then we opted for shade. Our children don't have shade. So Sandra and Odenmark Mutual gave us 15,000 Rand. We are getting a shade erected for 35,000 Rand. Computer lab we needed. Department gave us 20, and Medicross secured another 14, so we have a functioning computer lab. Meetings, we now start with a gratitude circle. Everybody's involved. We break up into small groups, and as a result of the small groups, we are going to throw out the CAPS program because it's not working. It's failing our children. We are looking at what we need for our foundation phase to master before they move on to grade 4, and we are going to, with lots of questions, repeat our grade 1s to give them a better opportunity. We can have a long discussion about that, but we're not going to do it now. Newsletters, that was community building. We say hello to the parents and hello dear St. Anthony's family, and then we say, Mommy and Daddy, we need you, and that came from community building, which you may or may not do. Now, this is a good thing that I want to start, happy circles. We're going to divide our school into groups, and each group will consist of a grade 1 to grade 7 learner. The grade 7 learners will be the mentors, and they will allow these children to talk. Each teacher will get 2 groups, and the teachers will just facilitate. They're going to shut up this time, they're going to step back and allow the children to talk. So we're going to hear from our children as well. Active listening, I spoke about that. It allows you to be quiet, and Saverian is standing here, and then this was freeing, and I'm going to hand it over to Saverian. I can say I want, without feeling egotistical or entitled. I can say I want to stop now, and with that, Saverian, thank you very much.